My boyfriend thinks I cheated on him. How do I navigate this situation? This may be long. A little backstory for info. I've been with my BF 26M for about 1.5 years now. Before him, I talked to a man, let's call Jason. Jason was an actual POS to me. He was always calling me whenever he wanted, tried to control who my friends were, and always wanted to check my phone despite us never being actually together. I finally put a stop to it about 2 years ago. Jason tried contacting me many times after I stopped talking to him, but he'd received no response, and about 6 months ago, I changed my number, so I definitely didn't hear from him. Now, 3 days ago I was with my BF, we're watching TV as I was laying on his chest reading a book on my phone. Well, a text came in from an unknown number that simply said WYD. BF takes the phone from my hand and asks who it is. I say I don't know BC, I really didn't know at the time. I tell him to call the number and ask BC, I know I have nothing to hide, so let's call. BF calls and the person on the other side of the phone tells BF he is looking for me, and my BF asks who he is, and he responds with something like, I'm trying to find out who you are, to my BF. Then person OTP says he will just call me later. I text the number, who is this, and I'm already blocked. Keep in mind, everything that was told to my BF, I didn't hear because the phone was to his ear. I could just hear BF's side of the conversation. Well, with my messages not going through to the number, I have no answers to give my BF when he asks who it is. He accuses me of lying and cheating and tells me to leave his house, which I do. As I am a move home, I call the number, straight to voicemail, forgot I was blocked. I *67 the number and he picks upon the 6th call. I ask who it is and the person simply says to stop blowing up their phone. And I recognized the voice, Jason. I call my BF to tell him who it is and he's blocked me as well. He's refusing to hear me out. Just unblocks me to text me about how wrong I am for cheating on him. He won't hear me out, and he even says Jason FaceTimed him and told him he was sleeping with me and has been. I of course told him that is completely false. That he's lying, and that if he's willing to make such accusatory statements that Jason should send some kind of evidence corroborating this outrageous statement, but nothing. No screenshots, no phone calls from me, no evidence. I don't understand why I'm not being believed here, and I am at a loss. I have now cut contact with BC. All he does is accuse me of something I didn't do, and it's making me feel horrible. I have no way of disproving Jason's accusations other than with my own word. My BF says I have changed my number recently, so how does he have it? The only thing I can think of is the fact that Jason and I have a mutual friend in common, and he could have possibly given it to him. How do I navigate this situation? Comment. This is a tricky one up. To be honest, if your boyfriend isn't willing to hear you out, maybe he is making it up in order to not be with you anymore. At the end of the day, you know your own truth, and you can put your head on the pillow at night knowing you didn't cheat. Block Jason and focus on yourself. Self-care is the best thing. Good luck. You could ask mutual friend if he gave your new number out, as your stalker is back. Also, go to the police and file an initial report so that if this carries on or gets worse, you can get a restraining order. Then send the police incident to your BF. Would that help? I'm talking about the user above me. Ops BF was too critical right off the bat in this situation though, but to say he can't be questioned up at all is ridiculous. It's normal to have a small bit of doubt when something like this happens, and good communication is needed, especially to solve this situation. Him doing this blocking bit without having any hard evidence is childish, but if he said I need to take some time to figure out what is going on, then that would be the more mature thing to do. Move on. If he's not willing to even talk about it, there's no point trying to convince him otherwise. If you really want to try, maybe try and get a print out of your call and text records from your cell phone provider to prove you haven't been in contact with that person. But if this is what it's going to be like every time a questionable situation arises, then maybe moving on is your best bet. Next story 2. I accidentally kissed a coworker and now my husband wants to leave me. So to get this out of the way before everyone starts in with "Yeah right, it wasn't an accident, you're just a cheater," I will swear on my life this was an accident. I have no idea what to do and I am broken now writing this because my marriage might be over and have no idea how to fix this. My co-workers invited me out to go drinking and I convinced my husband to tag along. I was really excited because we have kids and we never go out. I haven't been drunk in years and while I intended to have 2 beers and go home, once the shots came out I decided to just go for it and enjoy myself to the fullest. My husband was RDD so no worries there and our kids were safe with their grandparents. I am a very happy drunk and also a very horny drunk. I was feeling extremely good from the alcohol and I was having a great time with great company. At some point my husband stepped out to the beer garden with some of the guys and I stayed inside the bar with the others. A little while later I was feeling frisky and decided to find my husband to kiss him. As I walked toward the door to the beer garden, I saw my husband. He was facing the opposite way so I came up behind him, put my arms around him, spun him around and immediately grabbed his head and started making out with him. I was super happy he was reciprocating my affections because he's not usually into any kind of PDA. I guess that should have been my first cue something was wrong. After about 10 seconds of blissful kissing I hear from behind me. I break out of the kiss and turn around and there is my husband and the rest of my co-workers coming in from the beer garden. I turn back and mortified I realize I have been making out with my co-worker. I tried to explain and I feel like everyone had to be able to see how confused I was but my husband was understandably pissed. I don't remember all that happened as it was a messy blur with a lot of shouting and confusion but somehow we made it home. We slept in separate rooms and the only thing my husband will say to me is "I'm done." It's been 4 days and I don't know how to get out of this. For context I was 9 drinks in when this happened, not sober at all. My husband and this co-worker are both 6 feet 1 inch. They were both wearing black shirts. They both have short dark brown hair. They both have goatees. I came from behind and closed my eyes right away as I was pulling him in for a kiss. My co-worker was at least as drunk as I was and I don't think he realized who was kissing him. This truly was a massive, disastrous mistake. Comment. This is worse than infidelity. Sometimes people can understand their infidelity is an expression of deep-seated insecurity, and overcome it. They can sometimes change. You, on the other hand, are just a garbage person who can't even tell the difference between your husband and some other dude. You have no excuse. There is no coming back from not recognizing the difference between a random person and your husband. He deserves someone better than you. Pretend you understand what dignity is and recognize your husband deserves to be treated with as much of it as you can manage. Jumping straight to divorce does seem a bit extreme if this is the only time he's ever had even the slightest cause to doubt your commitment to the relationship. But judging from what's still there of your question history, it doesn't seem like this is the only problem you two have had recently. And even if you had no intention of anything like this happening, 9 drinks on an outing with co-workers when you know being drunk tends to make you behave inappropriately is a choice. I don't know that there's anything you can do here but acknowledge this was a major fuck-up, and hope he's open to counseling if he ever calms down. Well, save the part "I didn't know it wasn't your husband" because that is total BS. If you could walk to this person then you had enough senses that you knew that wasn't your husband. All of this from too much to drink, they are the same height and everything else is just an excuse to get your husband to believe your story. If you were that comfortable enough to kiss that co-worker then I imagine he thinks it wasn't the first time. No starts the mind stuff for your husband thinking what else have you done before now, those times you were late from work or couldn't get a hold of you on the phone 1 or more times. Get ready because this is going to be a long messy situation that won't be resolved anytime soon and never fully resolved. You don't get both fantasizing about other men and making a mistake about kissing another man. I'm sorry, there are no benefits of the doubt. He should leave you. This is bad, but considering your other posts it is hard to believe it was an accident. Also, 9 drinks? Get some help.